Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. And as always, thank you for all your support, including sharing, chatting, liking, and subscribing. Now roll that famous logo animation! Good evening and welcome back to Computerized Start Live. I am your host, Justin D. Morgan, and with all those mods in the chat, the bots don't stand a chance. Alright, let's see who we have in the chat. We have Sorcerer Stan, hello! Dave's Vintage Apple Tech, Frank S., Thomas Armstrong, Joe's Computer Museum, and Garth Beagle. Hello, everybody. Yes, I thank you all for your patience as I took a short detour on the way from home. Short, well, I guess relatively short. Detour up to Orange to pick up some computer parts. No, the case wasn't an AT case. I got fooled by an ATX power supply that had one of those extra, I guess it's the extra power plug before they standardized on the 12 volt extra power for power supplies. And I saw that connector. I'm like, yes, that's an AT case. No, it wasn't Antec case. So it is a very nice case. It's just an ATX Antec case, but I can still use it. So I got back, I put the trash out, I brought my Mauser order down, I made sure to put labels on the boxes and then realized I had enough time to open the boxes. so that I would not accidentally dox myself again, because RetroTech Chris sent me a message saying he'd be a little late. So I don't have a guardian RetroTech Chris here right now to let me know, hey, by the way, you're showing your address on the internet. Like I did last time. Yeah, Garth saying AT is just 1x less than ATX. Hey, Jeremy, welcome. So, yes. All right. So, I did get the parts from Mouser. I do not have the parts from Digi-Key, although the only thing that I really needed from the Digi-Key order was, and let me go to the table cam. So, of the orders I placed from Digi-Key, because I was, Digi-Key had the keyboard connector and the actually coiled cables that are compatible with the Kaypro because they're a large enough gauge so they have a low enough resistance. I ordered the safety caps because I was like, oh, well, I'm ordering, they have safety caps, I'll go and order those. Well, Digi-Key's warehouse is in North Dakota. And they take a data process orders, so it'll be here tomorrow. Oh, well. I placed an order from Arcade Electronics. They're up in Alexandria. I think they actually have a retail shop there, so if I'm in the area, I'll have to stop by. I get the feeling they might have a Radio Shack-like vibe. Except, like, way more components and none of those accessories no one cared about. But from them, they're an NTE distributor. And for some of these silicon parts on this board, like this big TO3 transistor here, and some of these weird diodes and whatnot, well, I looked up the part and they've been long since been discontinued, but NTE has cross-reference parts. They made it very easy to order a direct replacement. Well, they were back-ordered on a bunch of the parts I ordered, so I'm going to have to wait until they have stock before they'll fulfill my order. But at least I got parts from Mouser, so we're going to start the process. So what did I order for this board from Mouser? Well, I ordered fuses, because Mouser sells fuses. I ordered capacitors, because I decided if I was going to start pulling components off the board, I might as well recap it. I did order there's a voltage reference component on here. There is I think the 4N001, a couple of these diodes are just 1N4001. So those are actually still made today. The TL431 still made today. I don't know which one of these parts is the TL431. There was a couple power resistors that I ordered. There was this 12 ohm resistor that measured out of tolerance, so I ordered one of those from Mouser. And I'm kicking myself for not ordering the SCR, because I think I found a compatible one before I ordered one that's an NTE part. And I think I might have ordered some rectifier bridges, but I think this component's fine. Do I think any of those are going to fix this board? Not really, but I'm going to give it a try. So actually what I was going to do is I'm going to take a couple pictures of this board, and then I'm just going to start pulling components off and putting them through the tester. Even the capacitors. I'll pull the capacitors off, put them through the tester. That is, of course, if I can find the component tester. Oh, yes. But before I do that, I guess any other housekeeping. Rudy, welcome. I see Rudy's in the chat. And yeah, Joe's saying NTE, the place to go get stuff no one makes anymore. Yes, exactly. NTE makes a lot of stuff that no one else does. Let's see here. Dangerous tests must be performed. Yes. Because I don't know I've got an idea of what's wrong, but I'm not sure. I think something is shorting the power supply. So I think switching power supplies, and maybe newer power supplies, they have a different circuit design. This REFA is not shorted, I don't think. I am going to remove it, and it's going to be gone, and I'm not going to reinstall it. So Older power supplies have what they call a crowbar circuit, and maybe new power supplies still have one. Maybe they call it something else. Why do they call it a crowbar circuit? Well, imagine dropping a crowbar onto the main voltage rails of something and it shorting to ground. Well, that's actually basically what the crowbar circuit does. It shorts a voltage rail to ground. In this case, in this power supply, it's the 5-volt rail. So there's a Zener diode that has a voltage, and Zener diodes don't let electricity flow until you hit the Zener voltage, and then electricity will flow, which will energize the gate of the SCR, and then the SCR is basically a high voltage thingamajig, and it'll just short 5 volts to ground, and then basically that'll kick the... So that's over voltage protection, but that'll kick the overcurrent protection, and it'll just, like, keep ticking. But I'm thinking that if this SCR were to be bad, for example, or the Zener diode, and it's just basically shorting all the time, well, that might cause what I was seeing where the 12-volt rail was like 200 millivolts, and the 5-volt rail was 100 millivolts. Basically shorted. Or the other thing is, and I have the technical manual for the Tandy power supply, which is a lot like this one. I think basically the only difference is Tandy used a different connector. So, but I think it has all the same parts. It also gave a couple parts you need to check if you're not getting voltage. So I'm going to pull that open. Those actually will probably be some of the first parts I check. So anyways, let's see here. Yes. Joe says, as a test and performance engineer, I trust Justin to check everything on a board before doing a component run. Well, normally, yes, but I really wanted to fix this tonight, so I actually did a component run before testing everything. Unfortunately, the components didn't arrive, so... Haha. Yes, let's see here. Da-da-da-da-da. Hey, Retrotech Chris! Alright, he is watching from afar on mute. Alright, well, and John, the big bad biologist, is here, and Action Retro! Yay pro for Kaypro! Yes! Alright. So I got the soldering iron warmed up. I have the parts. Let me pull up the TRS model for... let's see here. Let me pull up that technical reference. I think I may have downloaded it. That would have been the sensible thing to do, right? Let's see here. That's a... No, I did not download it. It is probably on my phone, which is not going to help. All right. Let me pull that up real quick. So it is the Model 4 technical reference. That would be the TRS-80 Model 4 technical reference, because that is a lovely manual from Tandy. If you have never seen a Tandy technical reference, it is chock full of good information on servicing your Tandy. And it has lots of good information on the 3 different power supplies that were in the TRS-80 Model 4, including the Aztec one, which is like a spitting image of this power supply. So, since Kaypro didn't publish anything near as detailed as Tandy did, I am going to use the Tandy technical reference, the section on the Aztec power supply that was in the TRS-80 Model 4. And yeah, that would be the Model 4, not the Model 4P. Very important distinction. The Model 4P supply is not the same. And I am going to use that to help guide my investigation, because they have a lot of good information. It's got like information on the voltage regulation and ripple specs and theory of operation even. And I'm trying to scroll to the section where it's actually even has some troubleshooting steps. Oh yes, it even has troubleshooting steps, which is at the end of the section. So basically, here we go. troubleshooting chart for the power supply. So if you got an open fuse, it tells you it's got causes and it's got a remedy, and it tells you what components on the board to check, which, I mean, you look at an Apple technical reference manual, and basically it'd be like, it keeps blowing the fuse. Remedy, replace power supply, replace logic board, tell customer we're sorry. So here we go. So for the Aztec power supply that was in the TRS-80 Model 4, it is telling me that for a, let's see here, we not have an open fuse, so I don't have to look at that. Current limit cycle. I don't think we're in a current limit cycle. No kickstart. No pulses at pin 8 of U1. Oh, here we go. Let me fire up the oscilloscope. Oh, wait. No. I don't want to plug this in. I can't plug this in out of the Kaypro. I'm going to just assume that... Here we go. Let me find the... There's another section that actually tells you if you're troubleshooting the first components to look at. That's actually the section I want. It's in the theory of operation. Basically, it just, like, gives you the... If you have trouble with the power supply, check these 4 components first. And those are the first 4 I'm going to check, if I can find the section. The Kaypro manual, on the other hand, just tells you to replace the power supply. Because the Kaypro manual tells you that dealers are free to do component level repairs if they're competent, but we have no information for you if you want to do that. Just replace the power supply. Handy, on the other hand, is like, well, you can do repairs on it, and if you bring it in for service, we can void your warranty, but here's all the information you need to. And of course, now that I'm live streaming, I can't find the... Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. Here we go. Kickstart latch. So, startup of the circuit is initiated by the kickstart latch. This latch is shown in a simplified form in a figure. Here we go. Here we go. All right, we're going to start here. Yeah. So yes, I bought all the parts, and then, of course, they didn't arrive. All right, so basically, first thing I'm going to do, though, Thomas, it is a capacitor. Actually, the circuit they're showing me is 1, 2 capacitors, 1, 2, 3 resistors, 2 transistors, and a diode. Quite honestly, it looks like their kickstart circuit might be overcomplicated. Can't help to think that's the problem. So anyways, before doing what I'm about to do, we want to take some good pictures of the board. That way, if I remove something, and I'm not quite sure where it goes, I at least have some pictures. Let me take a few more. There we go. All right, that's probably enough pictures. Inevitably, though, I'll need a picture I forgot to take. All right. So, I think the first one I am going to remove is VR1. Oh, see you later, Garth. And why am I going to remove ZR1 if I can find it? Or VR1. That is because that is the diode. I'm also going to remove Q4 and Q5, the 2 transistors in the circuit. But I am a bit suspicious over the diode. Oh, actually, I'm trying to find the diode because it's going to depend what kind of diode it is. If the diode is one of the like standard looking diodes, then I'll remove the transistors first. However, if this diode is actually one of these silicon diodes, the like round ones, I've heard they are prone to failing because they'll absorb moisture, and I will check it first. Unfortunately, if that is the problem, there we go. I found it. It is. Ooh, okay. So that diode is. I think it is this component here. Yeah. So. Alright, wish me luck here. I am. Actually, I just want to double check because there's also a jumper wire. Actually, that was probably going to be the wrong. No, actually, that's right. Okay. Yep, the diode is actually. This is one of the legs. The reason why the solder blob looks so big is because the jumper wire is really close to it. But the important thing is, if I desolder this, the jumper wire is probably not going to just fall out, because it is in a very difficult to get to spot. Also, I think the wire lead is bent, so it shouldn't just fall out. I think it appeared to be, well, actually, I couldn't really tell what kind of diode it is. From the diagram, it almost looks like it might be the Zener diode. Oh, and actually, I think I might have misspoken when I was describing that crowbar circuit. I think I said Zener diode, but I meant to say Schottky diode. Yeah, it's the Schottky diode that is in the crowbar circuit, I believe. Alright. Let's see here if I can get that diode out. There's some feedback in the audio. Oh. Bad webcam. How's that? Yeah, I think I had two microphones going and didn't realize it. I am less and less impressed with this latest version of OBS the more I use it. Or I've done something weird, one. It could be something I've done that's causing my problems with the latest version of OBS. Alright. Alright. If this component is bad, I'll have to look. I don't know that this is... Is that the Zener diode I might have actually ordered from Mauser. Alright. One. I think I've got both of the legs free. It's just a matter of unbending them so it falls out carefully. Alright, let me do something important here. Alright. As I remove components, if they've got a polarity mark and the board's not marked, I will probably take an extra photo. I don't see a polarity mark for this diode, so I just took another photo of it. Alright, let's see here. Oops. Come on. Is that the wrong... Nope, that is the diode. Alright. No, I think my problem was just how they bent the pins. Alright, and let's see here. There we go. Oh, there is a polarity mark under there. Okay. Very good. Actually, I may just have to remove these capacitors and, There we go. Got it. Okay, so this is... Alright. Let me see if I can read the mark on this. So it is a... It looks like it says 734. 1N4 734. 1N4 734. Okay. 1N4 734. I have no idea if this component is supported by this device. We will give it a try. So it's a diode. And it's got a forward volt, 0.7 millivolts. Or 0.7 volts. Okay, so it is still dioding. Yeah, okay. I'm just going to double check here. So that was Z1. So that should be 5.6 volts. Zener voltage. Okay. Well, I think that's actually part of the... Oh, yeah, that's actually part of the crowbar circuit. Interesting. I don't know why that's part of the kickstart circuit. Hey, Crypto CS guy. Oh, yeah, some of these capacitors would just love to go all entropy on me. Alright. I am curious. 1N4 734. Oh, they still make that. I wonder if that's the Zener diode I actually picked. Because I didn't have a part number, I just only had the description of it. So I took a guess. Alright, well, guess let me log into my Mouser account real quick, so if I do need to add something to the cart, I can. Even though I've already placed 3 orders with Mouser this week. What's a 4th one? Alright. Good. Add that to my cart. Okay. That diode seems to be correct. It's actually reading as a diode, at least. Although I should... Let me see if there's a voltage drop rating. Let me make sure it's within spec. 1N4 734. Let's see here. Okay. I don't see a voltage drop rating. Oh. I don't see a forward voltage. Okay, well, there is no forward voltage rating on in the datasheet, so... But it does appear to... It is reading as a diode. I'm going to presume 0.7 volts forward voltage is correct. I'm actually going to wait to put that back, though, until I remove these capacitors, because that's going to be hard to get in there. Yeah, this component tester, I think I just got it off eBay. I think you can get them about anywhere. They have fancier ones, but I think the fancier ones just basically add a color screen. In fact, somewhere I've got one of the fancier ones. Oh yeah, there we go. Yep, okay. Looks like the battery's good. I guess I like this one because it's got the little pads that you can hold the component to. But, for example, I don't know where the, or if this, oh, no, I like the ZIF socket in this one. But, say, for example, actually, I think I might, oh, wait, no, somewhere I do have the ZIF socket for this one. It has a ZIF socket. Oh, actually, I think that might be why I, there it is. The ZIF socket doesn't stay in very well. Maybe that's why I don't use it as much. There we go. Yeah, it doesn't really stay in that well. But it does have one of these sockets. There we go. Because my other one, the ZIF socket, soldered. Yep. Forward voltage, 0.8 millivolts on this one. IR 3.6 microamp. Okay, so that's going to be the leakage current. Yep. I mean, all these are about the same. I think they all basically run the... Well, this one I think is a little more expensive, but I don't like how loose the ZIF socket is. This one, the ZIF socket doesn't come out. So, I guess I'd probably recommend this one just because the color display's nice, but I don't like the loose ZIF socket. I mean, it is nice you could replace the ZIF socket if you ultimately get it to the point where nothing fits in it, but I don't like how loose it is. Okay, so the Zener diode looks fine. I mean, I don't really have an easy way to test the Zener voltage, but for the moment, I'm going to assume that it's correct. So let me remove Q4 and Q5. So here's Q4. And Q5 is probably hiding. Q5. Here's Q4. Q3. Q2. Q1. So where is the hidden transistor? Now, interesting. Chris had a Rifa go up in smoke the other day on a Promise IDE VLB caching card. Interesting. Oh, I don't know what Q5 is. Interesting. So this theory of operations as a transistor that's not mentioned. It must be... Well, that's weird. It's obviously a transistor. Okay, well, we'll remove Q4. Go with my process of elimination. I can... Alright, I think Q4 is here. Yeah, I would have, yeah, that would have been a time I would have hoped I caught it on camera, too. I mean, I know that any capacitor can go. Oh, actually, yeah, I did, there is actually a polymer cap on this power supply that's actually a Rifa. And the only reason I know it's because it's got the brand name on it. I almost thought about just ordering a replacement just because, but then I realized that, well, it does seem to be in good shape, so... I mean, it'll probably betray me, but... Alright, so... Q4 is... I don't have the... I don't have the... bill of material... Oh, ooh. Well, that's weird. Okay, I'm about to look up what Q4 is. Because Q4... Oh. is the voltage reference. Okay, well, that is not going to test in the tester. Actually, that doesn't really look like a... It's marked 0100331. That probably is the voltage reference. Okay, well, I have no way of testing it, so... Oh, yeah, there's IBM PC tantalums. To throw a temper tantalum party. Oh, what was that, what was that joke that they said on Jeopardy the other day? Making fun of Ken Jennings. It's, if a Ken falls in the forest and no one's around, does it tell a dad joke? I think it was the Tournament of Champions. Otherwise, I don't think they would have gotten away with that. All right. R20, R21, R20, R21. You know, I think I'm going to assume those resistors are fine. Yeah. C14, C1. Alright, I think it's... Oh, interesting. Very interesting. I just realized something. I just realized something major looking at this. I know why I can't get the power supply to regulate voltage. I wish I had noticed this sooner. Unfortunately, this is a stopper. This is going to be a stopper. Okay. So here's the diagram I've been looking at. This is the kickstart circuit. So here's the Zener that I removed. Here's Q4, that's the voltage reference. I do not know what Q5 is. Here's capacitor C1 that I just started to look for because I was going to remove the capacitors. Okay, you can't see C1 at the moment. There we go. That's one of the safety caps. Yeah, this, I, unfortunately, C1 was removed because it was cracked. Now, there is a chance I could move C13 to C1. Maybe it isn't quite the stopper, but I gotta go look at the schematic. Because it's quite possible C13 needs to be connected to get voltage too. Alright. Hold please while I find the page where the schematic is. Alright, so... Alright, well, I gotta find C13 in the schematic. Actually, I guess you all can come along for the ride. Fortunately, the schematic is not in the great orientation. Okay, so there's C1. That's the main safety cap right there. It's removed, but it's just going between line and neutral. So that's fine. C3 is... Oh, no, wait. C1 is... No, C1 is the... Wait a minute. How in the world does that work? Clearly in the... Is this the schematic for that power supply? Okay, maybe this is the wrong schematic page. That doesn't make sense. Aztec, no. No, wait a minute. That's not right. I don't think that's the right schematic. Okay, one of those two diagrams is wrong. Because I don't see how C1 is in the kickstart circuit on this page. One of those two schematic pages is wrong. Oh, but I know how we can tell which is correct. The numbers aren't the same. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, I did notice there was a mistake in this technical reference manual. It's got all sorts of good information, but I think there was a mistake. Yeah, okay, I know what the, Tandy printed, that's the wrong schematic. So, this is the correct bill of materials from what I can tell, because I found a corroborating list online. But if you notice, this diagram doesn't match the power supply. And I think the schematic... Oh, wait, I forgot, I'm not sharing. So if you look at this diagram, it doesn't even match the power supply. Okay, ignore the connectors. But the rest of the layout doesn't match. Because notice, there's no transistor here. Right there, that's all you need. There's no transistor, and there's no transformer here. That doesn't match. So, but what Tandy did, just bear with me for a moment. If you'll notice that line diagram, so I think that diagram is actually for the Aztec AA11320 power supply. Here, so there's its list, here's its information. I think this schematic page has, I think it has the wrong part number. Oh, you can't see my mouse cursor, I'm not showing it. So I think this is the wrong caption. And I think this has the wrong caption, because the telltale thing is, this says Tandy Corp. Oh, wait. I think this is the diagram for the Tandy power supply. Because I don't think the Aztec supply says Tandy Corp on the PCB. Okay. This list, however, though, is for the Aztec supply that's the same as this one. But the thing is, so theory operation, I got tricked by the... So I think this theory of operation's correct. But I don't think there's a schematic in this that's for this power supply. Because I think if you then scroll down, there's actually a third power supply. And I think Tandy didn't print the... Yeah, and then everything else is for... Oh, wait. Here we go. This, I think, is for that third power supply. See? There's that diagram that Tandy printed. It's duplicated. Yeah, they messed up their... Whichever copy of the technical reference manual this is, whatever version, it's got some incorrect diagrams in it. So actually, I'm not even sure I can... In fact, actually, because there's no Q5 in this power supply, I actually am not even sure I can trust that diagram, now that I think about it. Yeah. Actually, it looks like I can't. I don't think I can trust that. All right, I think the only thing I can trust is the bill of materials in that because I can I can corroborate the bill of materials with another source. So I think the parts are correct. The bill of materials page, but I guess I'm gonna have to just discontinue the rest of it because Q4 I don't think it's actually a transistor. I think it's the precision voltage reference. All right, I'll put that back later. All right, so I think what I'm going to go to is, since I believe there's a bad mistake, I'm just going to start by removing the. I'm just going to remove these caps so I can actually get to some of these components a little easier. I'm going to recap the board anyways. So let me just take a picture of these caps so I remember which values go where. Okay. Let's remove these caps, and then I'll probably start, and I'm going to remove the diodes. Because there's some silicon diodes on this board that, quite honestly, I'm a bit suspect of. Because I've heard they can absorb moisture. Or at least I think that's what I remember from some video that 8-Bit Guy did when he was restoring that Apple monitor that he found outside at Computer Reset. I think it actually had a bad silicon diode. And actually, spoiler alert, I may have tried to test a couple of them in circuit, and I got some weird results, so I need to remove them. Alright, I am now, so I'm just going to ignore that Tandy reference now that I think I've realized that there is a major inconsistency with the diagrams in the section. Alright, so I think that's one of the caps. There we go. Thomas is voting it's the TO3. Well, now that's going to pose an interesting challenge, Thomas. Because I can't get the screws out. And I don't have a spare socket. Although, I guess, well, I guess I can check it. I will take your, that as a vote of something to check. So, let me see if I can get it out. I'm going to try this, liquid grip stuff and see if it helps me get a grip on the screws. Because otherwise, I'm going to have to take more drastic measures. Oh. This stuff supposedly helps you get a grip on screws that you can't otherwise grip. Hey, Falcor! Yeah, Eric, you're on point there. Don't you just love it when they bend every single pin over? Yeah, they bent every single pin over. In fact, they would have probably bent the pin header pins over if they were long enough. I mean, I think they even bent the TO3. Okay. Okay, let me see here. This is a... Okay, let me see if I've got the next Phillips up. I do. Now let me see if I've got the driver handle for it. Which I should. I actually found the driver handle the other day. And then promptly put it somewhere safe. Oh, here it is. Yes, I realized there were a couple tools that I took with me to VCF East, and my handle for the bits was one of them. Just in case I needed to crack open the SE. Oh, there we go. I think that might have been the problem. I just didn't have a big enough driver. There we go. Alright. Thomas says these power supplies were assembled by hand in Hong Kong. Yes, I can confirm. This is made in Hong Kong. And yes, it probably was assembled by hand because every pin is bent over that's a through hole. And in fact, there's something handwritten under the transformer, probably the inspector's mark. I can't read it. Because it may very well be, could be someone's signature. I can't tell. Hey, K-Mac! I am trying to... Alright, I don't know how much of this is. I just have the right bit now. And how much of this is this tank bond stuff. But I suspect it's more that I have the correct bit than anything. Also, I think the problem is, I think this was screwed in and then soldered. Oh yeah, that's why I had trouble. These screws were screwed in and then soldered. Alright, before I forget, next week, I'll try to remember to mention it at the end of the stream too, and next week I will be streaming on Tuesday and not Thursday. Because I have a conflict on Thursday. So I am going to try streaming on a non-usual day next week, so I haven't scheduled the stream yet because I wanted to see how tonight's stream went to figure out what I might be working on Tuesday, but anyways, yeah. Stay tuned. I will be streaming a different night. Might even call it an experiment, because if I get more viewers on Tuesday than I do on Thursdays, I might change my streaming night. But I may give it a couple nights temporary, but tomorrow, or I guess Tuesday, the reason I'm doing it Tuesday is because I got a conflict, so as to still give you all a stream, I'm just going to do it a different night. So I'll probably schedule the stream tomorrow, and I'm hoping this transistor just... Oh wait, you know, I thought this might be a socket because of the way it was attached, but you know, I think... Oh, I think it's a heatsink. So I think I still have to desolder the transistor. I mean, I had to remove the screws because they were definitely holding the transistor in place. But it looks like they were adding extra stability, probably to keep it from... Probably to hold it in place, probably to hold the heatsink in place too. But it looks like these are the transistor legs, and they were definitely soldered. And actually, I got one more screw I gotta remove. In fact, actually, Okay, this may be futile to try to remove the solder from this screw. Yeah, that is like wicking away so much heat. There we go. Let me see if the screw comes out easier now that I've... There we go. I bet that screw comes out a lot easier. It's still going to give some resistance because there's still some solder down in there, but I bet it comes out. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that feels... Oh, yeah, there we go. That's coming out a lot easier without all that solder holding it in. Okay, so there we go. All right, that's going to be fun to put back together, but I got the transistor out. All right. Well, the thermal pad's in decent shape. Oh, actually, you know, that may not be a thermal pad. That may be an isolator. Hey, Will Jr. 880. Welcome, welcome. All right, well. All right, set that back in there. Keep that safe. All right, so I've got the transistor. It is not labeled as to what it is, so I'm glad I had a bill of materials to tell me what to order. By the way, these TO3 transistors are like super expensive to buy the new ones. I guess that's Mauser's way of telling you that, you know, maybe you might want to actually just use a different package type. No one uses the TO2 or TO3 anymore. Alright, so let's see here. And it is measuring as a diode. Is that correct? Yes, that would be correct. I guess. Because the case is the third leg of the transistor. Is that correct? Yeah. Alright, I don't know what the pinout of this is, but it looks like I'm going to have to pull out my multimeter. It's actually a transistor, not a diode. It's just, I don't think that... there's not 3 legs on it, so... Okay, so that is measuring mega ohms that way. So I think this way I should be measuring nothing. Oh, let me go to diode test mode. So this way I'm measuring... Wow, that is... That took an awful long time to stabilize. Or is it maybe because I was touching the... Oh, maybe I was touching the... Yeah, I might have been touching the base of it. So I'm being careful to make... Okay. Okay. I should probably check the pin out of this. So... measuring like a diode there. That I think that's correct for a transistor. Okay, so that's also measuring. No conductive there. Okay. I mean, it does... Alright, I don't remember what that is right offhand. That is an NPN transistor. Oh, there we go. So... Okay, so this is the base, and this is the emitter. So the collector must be the outside shell. And let's see here. So let's see here. The base. So the base to the emitter. Wow. Excellent. Okay, so base to emitter. Emitter to... Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it's good. I'll, okay, so that's good. So, let's see here. I think the next one I will remove is... Actually, I won't remove it. Let me test it. Because now there's not a... Since the transistor's out, I'll probably get a good reading. So, this power resistor here... that's near the transistor. I think that's one that... So it's reading 0.4 ohms. Oh, good night, Eric. Okay, and before you all say that's a short, let me look up what that resistor is, because there is like a couple of really low resistance resistors on this board. And that is supposed to be 1 ohm. And it is reading as 0.4 ohms. Alright, now the chat can collectively tell me, Justin, that might be shorted. Oh, now it's reading 0.3 ohms. And it's supposed to be 1 ohm. I think that bears... Alright, good night, Sorcerer Stan. Alright, I think that bears further scrutiny out of circuit. Because that is reading... Because if for a 1 ohm resistor that is supposed to be 5%, that is reading well outside of a 5% tolerance. But there could be something in parallel with it that's shorted, so... Oh yeah, Thomas is saying there's something in parallel, which is why I'm going to remove it from the circuit and test it. Because I think this is one that the theory of operations says, or that some troubleshooting guide said, could be the cause of it not regulating. Because it is a resistor near the transistor, it could have baked. So let me pull it out, and I'm going to actually take the heat shrink off of it so I can read the markings to confirm it's actually a 1 ohm resistor. But I'm going to test it out of circuit. In fact, I'll use the tester doodle here. Okay, now the one thing I do like about this tester, I don't like the loose ZIF socket, but I do like the fact that instead of the ZIF socket being like pin 123 11111, it's actually 123 123 or 1233123, which makes it a lot easier to oh, actually I don't think it likes this resistor. Oh, also the battery might be low in it. 0.48 ohms. Yeah, I think it keeps the transistor biased. But also, I think it's, I think it might actually be reading low. I'm gonna check, because there is also a, like a point, there is a 0.47 ohm resistor on this. And if the bill of materials has the wrong component list, this could actually be the lower resistance one, which in that case it might actually be okay. I could have also looked at the wrong. That is clearly R14, and R14 is 1 ohm. And this resistor is marked 0.47 ohm. 0.47 ohm J. Well, by golly, that's, huh. Well, that's not where the bill of materials says the... Okay, R11. Oh, R11 is also a 0.47 ohm. What's the chance that they put the wrong resistor there? You know, I bet they installed the wrong resistor at the factory. And maybe for what it's doing, it's okay, but I'm going to put the 1 ohm resistor that the bill of materials says is supposed to be there in that component location. And if it doesn't work, well, someone can say they told you so. Who's they? I don't know. No one ever says who they is. I mean, it is possible the bill of materials I'm looking at's wrong. And I'll double check, because I actually have two... Oh, actually I did order 1N4734s. What do you know? As the potential replacement for those Zener. Huh, alright. What a, okay, I know. Hold on. Trying to find the, Alright, so I ordered spare linear regulators. There's bridge rectifiers. 1K ohm. Alright. 33 ohms. Oh, there's the voltage reference. It's the 100K one. Okay, that might be the 1 ohm ones because the label doesn't have the resistance on it. Bridge rectifiers, Zener diodes. Those are fuses. And that's a panel mount resistor. Okay, let me see if these are the 1 ohms. Actually, let me just pull my Mauser order up. Check D4 and D2. Okay, I'll do that. I'm just trying to figure out which of these is the 1 ohm. Oh, cool. Mauser shipped my order today. That's good. So this says it is line item 15. Line item 15 is 603 KNP100FR-73-1R, and that is a 1 ohm 1 watt resistor. Yes. Okay. One of those funny rectifiers by Q1 as well. Yeah. Okay, so I'll put that in place of that. So let me see, D2 and D4. All right, D4 is one of those non-funny rectifiers. It looks like a standard. I think it's the 1N4001. It just looks like a bog standard diode. Yeah, Q2 though is one of those silicon diodes. If it's bad, then I'll test the other silicon diodes, but I don't have that one. I will have to wait till I get the parts from NTE. There were just so many different rectifiers, and they had weird part numbers, and I just basically had to. When I realized that, when I remembered about NTE, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have to use them because there's too many of these, and I can't find data sheets for any of them because they're so old. Quite honestly, they had a lot of different part numbers, but for several of them, they actually mapped to the same cross reference. So I I don't know what's up with that. Okay, so D4 D4 is there's D4. And okay, it's measuring as a diode. So it's the RGP15B is in Baker. It's testing fine. So I'm going to put that back. What's R12? R12 is... Okay, it's just a 1/4 watt resistor. Just curious what it was. Okay, D2 is one of those silicon diodes. D2 is... Okay, so let me try D2. Oh, Thomas says, all the old parts from the 70s. Okay. That would explain, if they're that old, that would explain why I couldn't find data sheets for any of them. Yeah, I guess maybe the old parts from the 70s and then newer, I guess as technology, processes improved, I guess. I guess maybe that they didn't have to have so many different parts. All right. So D2 is the silicon diode here, and I actually am very suspect of it. I was going to eventually get to it, but when you got Thomas in the chat and he says to check these 2 diodes, well, you check the 2 diodes. Plus, without this transistor here, I can get to them really easily. So. I'm also going to check R13 because that's one of the power resistors. I mean, it looks fine. It's probably fine, but I'm going to check it. And actually, with this diode out of circuit, because this diode's in parallel with it, so I can probably check the resistor in circuit with this diode out. In fact, I can just get one leg out. There we go. All right. There we go. It's a silicon diode. Looks like an alien. Of course, when I saw what they called it a silicon diode, I was like, wait a minute, aren't all diodes silicon? And, well, it's a diode. Okay, so that tested fine. Alright, let me check R13 that was beside it. Well, I think there still may be things in parallel with it, but it's... $119, $120, so... R13 is 120 ohms. Okay, so that resistor is spot on. This diode is seemingly measuring good. The ends crack on these glass diodes easily, yeah. Well, this one looks to be in good shape, so I'll put it back. Especially because I don't have any replacements. Oh. Okay, I think that's one of the ceramic capacitors that one of the leads is loose because it was shared with the diode, I think. Alright, so hopefully I can get this diode back in without causing any damage. Okay. Actually, there are two other power resistors near this. I'll put this diode in. Oh, okay. It will not be parallel with those resistors because I'll check them in circuit, see what they read. I think one of them is going to be like 33 ohms. Actually, they're the same value, so they're going to be the. Oh, they're going to be the yes, they're the 100k ohm power resistors. Yes, I didn't know they made power resistors that high of resistance, but apparently they do. Okay. Let me check them. So let's see here. This is. Okay, so this is, I think, this is R3 or R4. And they're reading awfully high resistance. So there might be something in parallel with them. Okay. I guess I should probably check D1 because it's another one of those silicon diodes. Fortunately, it looks like it has a resistor in parallel with it, so I might have to remove it. Probably have to remove it to test it, and I don't know which component it is. Let me remove these 4 capacitors here, because I think they're in parallel with those two resistors I just tried to measure. And I was going to recap the board anyways, so let me just go ahead and pop these out of here. In fact, this one I removed last week just to inspect it, and I didn't see anything, so in terms of like signs that it had leaked, or at least if it had leaked, it wasn't bad, so. Let me go ahead and remove these other 4, because I'm gonna since I'm in here, they are not 400 volt caps. They are 250 volt. And yeah, I kind of wish I'd maybe caught that sooner, because actually I think there's probably should be 400 volt caps. Unless there's like some transformer that when you switch this to 240 volts, if there's a transformer that power goes through, to step it down first. Because there is a jumper on here. But then again, yeah, unfortunately, this is the weird part. So I just ordered the values that were on this power supply because I thought everything looked correct. I didn't give it a second thought. Yet, there's a power supply I have to my right, down on the floor, that I started to look at its capacitors because I was going to order replacements. And I took one look at the high voltage capacitors, and I was like, this is stupid. Why did they underrate these capacitors so badly? But here's the deal. That second power supply is a cheap, no-name, non-branded PC XT AT clone power supply. So I was already suspicious of it from the get-go. This was an Aztec power supply. So I thought, oh, well, it's probably fine. Aztec would know better. But yeah, 250 volt. Yeah, maybe I'll, yeah, maybe I should, well, maybe I should just order some more caps and order 400 volt ones. Yeah, I didn't catch the underrating. Although there was one other reason I caught the underrating on the cheap XT clone power supply. It's because the high voltage caps in it, they weren't rated even at 250 volts. They're rated at 200 volts. And the cheap no-name non-branded power supply has, well, I think the caps have a brand on them, but it's like some brand I've never heard of, so I'm sure they're really high-quality caps. I'm also sure that Justin's being sarcastic right now. And by real high-quality caps, I mean type real high-quality caps in alternate upper and lowercase characters, and that would be how high-quality they are. Maybe even spell quality with a K. Yeah, I did not catch that Aztec underrated these. I mean, granted, am I likely to export this? No. Could it get exported? Yes. So I'll probably at least improve the margin. Because actually there's, well, I'll hold the 250 volt caps for something that's not dual voltage. Oh, you know what I could do to dissolve that? Yeah. Oh, actually, the this XT AT clone power supply. I was looking at it and like all the caps are underrated, or they're well they're not well well they're not all underrated, but they're what I meant to say they're like there's no margin for error on them. Although I think some of them may actually be. There we go. So if at first your hot glue does not easily come off, just use some isopropyl. Yeah, this is an Aztec power supply for the Kaypro. So yeah, that'd be the same Aztec that makes that made power supplies for the Mac and other computers. I mean, they made PC power supplies. I think they made the power supply for the Osborne or some of the Osbornes. Other PCs, other computers. Yeah, I mean, they may still be around. Or might have been acquired. But yeah, they made power supplies for like lots of people. Okay, there we go. So, I don't think these caps had leaked. Jeremy, please tell me your prediction about the power supply. Because if you've got a theory, I will, and it's a component I can test, I will test the component. I am somewhat kicking myself for not just buying a mean well, but the thing is, the mean well doesn't fit the mounting holes that exist in the computer, so I would have felt obligated to make some way to mount it, but I then realized that, I think I really wanted to know what was wrong with this supply, not just replace it, so if you like getting to the bottom of things to explain it rather than just simply replacing it, well, smash that like button. Did you see the value for C1? Yeah, I don't know what the value, C1? Yeah, it was 0.01. Has a 50% chance of working. I fear it may not work properly. Well, why do you fear this won't work properly? Do you think the transformer's bad? Because that would be the only thing that I really can't replace. Well, I guess there's 3 transformers. Oh, I was going to test these capacitors. I think I tested some of these capacitors last week. So this is a 220 microfarad. It's reading 228. Okay. So that one's fine, but it's old. Alright, so this one... Yeah, I was getting voltages. Oh, I think this capacitor doesn't really fit this. So 113, it's 100. So yep, that's within spec. Somehow I suspect these capacitors are, because these are United Chemicon capacitors. 107, it's 110. Yep, these are all 110s here. Hey, Retrotech or Die. Welcome. $107. Actually, Jeremy, I had an even better idea if this power supply doesn't work. And no, it didn't involve target practice. No, I thought I would design a board that would be the mounting board. Okay, so those capacitors were all in spec still. Let's see, D4, I already tested D4. I'm trying to get back to D1 and Q1. Which now without those capacitors in the way, I think I might be able to... So D1 is, I think, there. I think D1 is this one. Good night, Frank. Put a resistor over those caps before testing. Yeah, I should do that, although this power supply's been powered down for a week. But yeah, probably still should have, because they could have still had a charge. Of course, I could also just tap them on the workbench, too. Yes, definitely smash that like button and subscribe if you're not already, because I got more videos coming. In fact, I'm hoping to maybe crank out another video this weekend. And, I guess since we're at the 10 o'clock hour, I'll remind folks I do have a coffee page. And although I was going to change my goal slightly, but it's for tools and supplies. And as the light on my microscope keeps flickering, and probably yet another thing that's going to break on my workbench. Yes, I have, the coffee tips help me get the tools and supplies I use down in the basement. From this nice desoldering wick. And spudgers. I did get some spudgers. Yes, I finally remembered to order spudgers, so... Although these are rather cheap ones. As they usually are. I was trying to figure out... I wanted to order the generic versions of whatever iFixit uses, but I didn't manage to find them, so I just ordered some, I guess, random cheap spudgers on Amazon, because, quite honestly, they're all nylon, and they're all going to eventually break. I don't know that I'm a fan of the point on these. They're kind of maybe too pointy. But whatever. I know I need to restock on foam swabs. And I need to get some sewing machine oil, because I cannot find... somewhere I have a tube of it, and I can't find it. And before anyone says it's with your sewing machine, no, actually it's not. It's somewhere in the basement. I don't know where it went. So, of course, if I do need to use my sewing machine that I've never used, if anyone's wondering, it was a thrift find. I got it at the thrift store really cheap. It's actually probably, it's a low-end sewing machine. But if I ever needed to sew something real quick, I have it. Sometimes, times require you to be handy. That and, you never know when you might need to mend to something. Well, that one's also a diode. Alright. Alright, so it's not that one. So, I guess I'm going to test Q1. So for this pass, if it tests as the component, unless I know that the measurement's off, I don't know what the forward voltage on this diode is actually, because it's not marked as to what type it is, but 25 volts seems reasonable for some diodes, so I'll go with it. Could it be wrong for that diode? Sure. Might I end up, if I get stumped and don't find anything bad, rewatching my live stream and noting what measurements I read for some of these components and actually pulling the NTE datasheet for the correct replacement and seeing what it should be? Yeah, I may end up having to do that. Is it too late for me to order a Meanwhile power supply and have it Tuesday? Actually, yes. Because Mauser's out of stock of them, so... well, actually, I've realized. I was tempted to order one from Jamco today. But I think I would have had to have ordered it today to have known it would be here Tuesday. Well, so, okay, maybe I can still get a Meanwhile here Tuesday, so if I get stumped, I can at least have something and try to power up the logic board. Because at least the Meanwhile has all 3 voltage rails. I mean, it would kind of be handy. I'm not going to be able to get a ATX breakout board in time. There's just... because that would be another way I could power it up without the original power supplies if I had an ATX breakout board, but it's just... there is nowhere I can order one and it be here Tuesday. Because the only person I know of that makes them is Deku Nukem, and he's in the UK. I mean, yeah, sure, I could kludge something up, but I don't have an ATX power supply I'm willing to sacrifice to a kludge or an ATX adapter I'm willing to, like... I don't have any spare ATX extensions, so... Plus, I guess if I ordered the Meanwhile power supply and it worked and I continued to not be able to fix this, then... well, at least I got the Meanwhile. Of course, yes, Jeremy, I know you actually gave me a Meanwhile, and I've got it sitting over with the MSX computer that you gave it to me for, but I don't think it doesn't have the right voltage rails to be able to put it in this computer. Because I think the one you gave me only has 2 voltage rails, and this computer requires a third, and that would be the negative 12 volts. Alright, so this is Q1. I don't know. I think this is an NPN transistor. And sure enough, yep, NPN transistor. Okay, so Q1 is not it. Oh, that's cool. So apparently, Aztec, when they designed this power supply, put two pads for the emitter. Because maybe they made this supply in the time period when the industry was going to, like, the pinout that they use now. So it looks like you could use either pinout transistor. Because they've got two pins for the emitter. Of course, maybe there were 4-leg transistors? I don't know. That seems weird. Probably to let them use either. Alright, so... So that's not it. I just want to check something here. Okay. So there's another diode. It's hiding hiding back in under the transformer. Oh, it does have all four of them? Oh, well, I may have to, okay, well, I may have to, check to see if it's got enough voltage rating. Because maybe I don't need to order a mean well to have it on hand if that one has all four voltage rails. Okay, so that's a 33 ohm power resistor, and it is reading 33 ohms. So that's not it. So I guess the only other diode's this one hiding back there. Alright, so maybe what I just need to do is order some cheap as in low cost, but decently constructed clip leads that I can clip off the whatever's on the other end. And by clip leads, I mean the ones that have the hooks, not the alligator clips. So I can actually hook the power onto the connector on the Kaypro board, because I don't have anything that would fit the connector. And I don't want to damage my wiring harness in the Kaypro. And I guess I could probably order them from Amazon and probably get some on by Tuesday. I can probably find something they've got in stock. It looks basically the criteria is it at least needs to be a heavy enough gauge wire that I'm not going to like melt the wire by running several amps through it. And ideally that the clip leads aren't so cheap that they don't want to clip on anything of substance, because the pins on the board are somewhat chunky, because it's an older style pin header. But interestingly enough, I think TE Connectivity still makes some of the versions, which is kind of partially why I got the idea of making a some sort of an interposer board. Or an adapter board, so you could plug the mean well into the Kaypro power, the wire harness. Uh-oh. I need to start soldering some of these components back on, because I just had a diode fall out. Although in this case, I know where it came from. Actually, I probably should just bend the lead back. Alright. That's that diode. And, okay, I got the stripe in the right place, and let me just bend one of the leads slightly so it can't just fall out, and... Okay. Let me see if I can get this other diode out now. Which, the harder they are to get out, seems like the less likely they are to be the one that's actually bad. Terminals will be somewhat see-through. Oh. Ring or fork spade terminals that have heat shrink on them, yeah. Well, I want something that will at least let me test it without just to temporarily wire it. I mean, yeah, I can get some. I think I've got some spade terminals somewhere. I can at least on the other end of the clip leads, but on the Kaypro side, I want to clip it on because I'm not going to order the I'm not going to order the actual connector from Mauser that goes on that board because it's like $10. Yes, the good news is TE Connectivity still makes that same connector even 30 some years later. The bad news is they charge a premium for it. Because I guess they know that if you're still using the connector from 30 years ago, you're probably making industrial equipment that needs that connector, so they can charge you for it. No, I am not going to solder the leads temporarily because I will I don't want to risk damaging the original connector by not getting all the solder off. Well, I'll say that, and then I'll probably end up just soldering it because I'll forget to order the clip leads, but I need some clip leads anyways. I was going to buy a multi-pack. I have no clip leads. Okay. So this all seems fine. The diodes were testing. Transistors were testing. I pulled the capacitors out. They were all fine. So I guess I'm going to go for these. I'm going to remove these capacitors because there's 2 diodes hiding in under here. And then if that's not it, then I will have to do the... it's like really hard to get the components out between those two, between the heatsink. So I'll get them last. Actually, I'd already started to remove these capacitors. Alright, so while the first capacitors are removed were United Chemicon, these are actually Nichicon, and actually that's actually different than I normally see. That one's actually sealed, seemingly sealed differently. I bet this one's fine. This one's probably totally fine. Yeah, 2200 microfarad. Yeah, that is totally still a good capacitor, but again, I'm just going to recap the board because yeah, it's a good capacitor, but it's also I mean, it's a 30-year-old capacitor, 35, 40. Capacitor's about as old as I am. Moving along. I mean, will I throw the capacitor away? No, because it looks like it hasn't leaked. Ooh. Okay. I'm not going to throw this one away. I'll probably hold on to it as just like if I need a quick spare for something. Because this is actually 105 degrees C. I mean, it's made in 1983, so it is almost as old as I am. But it looks cool. It doesn't look like it's leaked. Now, this little Digi-Key, on the other hand, that looks like it might have actually leaked. Or I got... No. There definitely is something on the bottom of that capacitor that does not look like the bottom of the capacitor. Could this be the whole problem right here. $104 microfarad. That's 100 microfarad. I think this capacitor's leaked. Yeah, this capacitor is, the bottom of it does look like it's bulging. There is definitely something up with the bottom of it. Maybe it's just old flux, but there is definitely something up with that capacitor. I am not going to reinstall it. Well, I was not going to reinstall any of these. I'm recapping the board. Okay, now this next one is a blue Digi-Key, which I've removed these from other computers, this like light blue ones. It wouldn't surprise me if this capacitor is like this capacitor might actually show some signs of leaking. I think those green capacitors are actually a higher quality capacitor. I think these light blue ones are like probably it was used because, interestingly enough, when I was looking at the value of these 4 resistors, that small green one is one value, but these other 3 resistors in this row are actually all the same value, resistance-wise. I think Aztec... Whoop, I got my solder braid stuck to the board. There we go. I think Aztec used what they had on hand. Although I think the one capacitor is like slightly narrower in diameter. It might be that they didn't have enough room to put 3 of the same capacitor, and maybe that's why the one is a different series, because they needed the space. But anyways, yeah, I think these light blue ones are not quite as... I think they're a cheaper series. Yeah, it's only rated at 85 degrees C. The green ones are 105 degrees C. The light blue one's 85 degrees C. I think this is a case of... I don't know if it's just they didn't have enough of the green ones to put all 3 green ones here, or if the blue one was picked because there wasn't enough room to put 3 of the same diameter. Now, to replace these caps, I actually found... I'm going to replace them with the same cap, because I found the capacitors that are going to replace them are actually slightly smaller in diameter. So I'm just replacing them all 3 with the same value, because I think I was able to find a data sheet for these green caps, and I think they were just like the low ESR long life caps or something like that. So I couldn't find could not find a data sheet for the blue ones. And I think that's because they, I think Digi-Key, I think they had the, whatever series this green one is in production for a while, because I think I found a reference to them in a, like a data sheet from the early 2000s. That that still had the, like, what is this, PX series? So that's how I was able to find what kind of caps they were, is because I managed to find a some data sheet that had the graph of all of Digi-Key's capacitors, and they usually have a chart on their data sheets that kind of shows the, well, if you're looking at this cap and you want longer life, then you pick this one, and if you want higher voltage, or I guess a higher temperature rating, then you go for this series. And so I found a data sheet that had the the chart of all of the series. Yeah, something seems strange about the bottom of that cap too. I'm not totally sure. I mean, it could be dried flux. Maybe it's just imperfections in whatever they sealed the cap with. I don't know. Seems a little bit suspect. My audio has some fuzz in it. Well, it could be because I'm running a smoke absorber. Could be because my microphone thinks I need a cat. I don't know. Hey, Michael. Yeah, the 3Js are here. Yeah, Yes, I was just thinking. I've got some cool goodies that were in the mail today, and well, part of the reason why I placed a third Mauser order today was when I realized that I had forgotten to order some Berg power connectors and 50 pin SCSI connectors and whatnot. Because I kind of remembered, oh yeah, I got an order that should be coming in soon. I'm going to need those. And so that's why I placed the third order. It had a few other things in it too. I ordered some 236. Oh, wait. Oh, 2368. Yeah, that one's within spec. I ordered some what I think are the edge connectors for ISA cards. I hope I ordered the correct ones. Yep, that one's definitely within spec. Yeah, these green caps are like, seem to be really nice ones. Yeah, that one doesn't show any signs of leaking. Alright. Oh, yeah, I guess I might as well just remove this safety cap, because I don't think we're gonna get to the point tonight of powering this up. It kind of looks like well, if I do go off topic for the end of my stream, I won't have to do it for long. Yeah, because I can put this cap back on tomorrow when I get my Digi-Key order. There we go. Alright. So, the safety cap. Is it actually still within spec? "40 nanofarads. Voltage loss 12%. No, I do not believe that safety cap is within spec. Or because it's rated for high voltage, it's... Yeah, okay. Can a black hole act as a capacitor? I don't know. That's a good question. Alright, so let's see here. So, I've got two diodes hiding there. That's why I removed those capacitors, so I could get to those diodes. Let me take a look. Are those the same diode, or do I need to... That is D12 and D13. So D12 is... Okay, I think D12 is one of the 1N 4001s, and D13 isn't even on the list. Great. Alright. I think they're probably the same diode. Yeah. Well, I guess you can. Somewhere I am going to find the component that is... Because actually, the thing is, if I test all these components and don't find a bad one, then I will have to decide whether I want to just try replacing components one by one, or what. Because that might be the point where I just say, okay, I'm just going to replace the silicon diodes. Or some of the components that are known to be unreliable. Alright. Okay, so D13, that is not even on the bill of materials. Let me see if I can read a mark on it. It is marked as a 01G. Oh, yeah, okay. N0. Okay, so I think it's a... Oh, yeah, it's just a, yeah, it's the same as D12. They're just two totally standard generic diodes, I believe. And actually, if one of the two of these is bad, these diodes, if they're the 1N 4N001s or whatever they are, they're still made. So this one says, and I just knocked something off my workbench that was probably no consequence. In 4001G. Oh, GI. So these are General Instruments. General Industries GI. Whatever the I got some. They made other chips. I think I've got some of their other chips. I don't. So that one, yeah, 658 millivolts. Okay, that capacitor's fine. I mean, I'd like to at least find one of these diodes is shorted. Or that I test it and Joe appears in my basement. Then I'll know I found the Janeway diode. Yeah, that one's fine. It's also one way to see if a random Joe is still in the chat. Although the Joe that I was talking about, it probably knows that I was talking about him. course, for all I know, the Janeway diode would send me to his basement. After all, his basement is at a higher voltage potential than mine. I just hope the Janeway diode doesn't send me to Canada because I don't have my passport in my pocket. There's coffee in that diode. Yeah. Good one, Joe. Yeah, there's coffee in that diode. All right. Okay, so those two diodes aren't it. Instant Human just had coffee. Yeah. Volts, baby. All right. I guess I'm going to remove these last 5 electrolytics so that I can get into... be able to get the diodes around them out easier. Although, you know, if you see this capacitor here, this is actually a REFA capacitor. Maybe I should... What would be the chance that it's shorted? You know, maybe I should pull it out and test it. Just because it's a REFA brand polycap. It's not one of the safety caps, but it is a REFA brand. Probably a lot like the one that blew on Chris's caching controller card. So maybe I should check it to see if it's shorted. Well, that would be embarrassing if it was scaring me the whole time. The problem is the REFA polycap. Actually, I did not order a replacement for it because it wasn't a safety cap. Of course, actually, I'd already placed 2 orders with Mauser and then realized it said REFA. I was like, oh well. Maybe I'm going for Mauser's Hobbyist of the Month recognition award. The Hobbyist that places the most orders with us in a given week. Yeah, Chris. Yeah, little baby REFA, but boy did it pack a punch. Yeah. Yeah, I'll pull it out and test it. Seriously, my microscope LED lights keep flickering. Oh, you know, maybe it's just because the potentiometer on it needs some deoxit. Although, speaking of deoxit, maybe I need to... Next time I am somewhere that sells deoxit gold, I need to get some more deoxit gold. I ran out last night trying to spray deoxit on an ISA connector to see if I could get green to come off of it. No, the answer was no. I ordered... So my Mauser order today was for SCSI connectors, Berg connectors, oh, no, I already had enough Raspberry Pi Picos. So now you probably know what I'm in the process of building. And I ordered 2, what I believe are the correct edge connectors for ISA cards. There was a discrepancy on Mauser's website between their description and what the datasheet said it was, so I'm hoping that the datasheet was the correct datasheet. Because otherwise, I definitely did not order the correct edge connector for a 16-bit ISA card. But the motherboard that I was trying to see if I could get the green off the contacts, I most certainly did not. And I'm probably crazy to even try to repair it, because I don't know that the motherboard's worth repairing, but... Oh, yeah, it could have been a tantalum, Chris. Tantalums will produce a lot of smoke and even pyrotechnic effects. Yeah. Alright, so this is a 2200 microfarad. Okay, that one's fine. Well, it's at least within spec. It doesn't look like it was leaking. Yep, Michael's saying he's already checked, and people have already written papers on the capacity of black holes. Interesting. Michael, have you found any papers yet on how to test if your electrolytic capacitors are actually black holes in a can? Because if I need to make sure one of these capacitors is well away from our universe, when it actually finally starts leaking, I need to know how to tell it apart. There we go. Okay, that capacitor... I don't know. That capacitor looks weird. This one might actually have been leaking. Well, it's within spec, although the bottom of it looks a little odd. Alright. The PCB... Well, you know, actually, I'm not sure that... Maybe it's not leaked. The PCB looks burned. A little toasty there. Of course, maybe that's just because I had trouble getting it out. Maybe that was my doing removing it. PCB's fine. Okay. Let's see here. And then I think these two caps are... Should be, I think... This one... And... And this one. Yeah, may pull that board out that I am probably crazy to try to repair. The weird thing is, it's a motherboard that I bought the computer for the case off eBay. Although the case definitely has some rust issues, but it's repairable. I think one of my coworkers has a sandblaster. I may see if I can't sandblast the rust off, because some of it's kind of going to be a tricky spot to get to with sandpaper. I think it's just one of those little Harbor Freight sandblasters, but that'll probably work just to kind of get into the crevices where there's rust, because the county in Indiana that used to own the computer, or I guess whoever bought it from them, it wasn't properly stored. It got water in it. The Varda went off. I'm probably crazy to even repair it, but it is a DTK computer. I don't know. Maybe I'd like the practice of repairing it, but I last night put the motherboard in my in my junk boards box. I got a box that's boards where I've scrapped them, so if I need a component. But then today I'm ordering from Mauser. I'm like, maybe I can order replacement slots for the 2 trashed slots on it, and because I think I might be able to fix the immediately obvious broken traces. Okay, well that capacitor's still within spec. Yeah, these two don't look like they've leaked. Although no update. I got a delayed smellogram. These smell like fish. Yeah. These smell like fish. I don't see any leakage on the bottom, but these smell like fish. Okay, those don't. Yeah, I think these two are, I bet if I took the wrapping off of these, I probably would see this early signs of leakage, because these 2 caps that I just pulled off, I smelled fish. It was kind of a delayed smell. I guess I had to kind of wait for the... Well, I think I moved air, when I tossed them on the workbench, well, maybe that, dislodged enough of the leaky electrolyte to smell it, but yeah. So those 2 actually, I think, were starting to leak. Which is exactly why I decided I'd recap this, because, I mean, they're 40-year-old capacitors. Ooh. Of course, maybe what I was actually smelling was this green one that I just pulled off, because it actually looks like it's leaking. But it doesn't smell like fish, like those 2 did. $105 microfarad, I think it's 110. No, it's 100. So it's rated 100, so it's reading in spec, but the bottom of it looks suspicious. Okay, and now, because everyone's probably going to be curious, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Before I forget, I'm going to remove 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That Rifa polycap. Alright, if it's bad, I'll have to order a replacement. There we go. Anyways, if anyone's curious, I don't know how close I can focus on it, but I might be able to get the camera to focus. Alright. That's about as close as I can get. Oh, wait. Hold on, I have the technology. Well, I have the technology if I can find the, there it is. There you go. It's a little refa cap. 22 nanofarads. Alright, let's see what the tester says about it. Alright, I think this is a case where I'm going to have to put it in the... Actually... There we go. It's a good use case for this tester. I think I need to replace the battery in it. "22 nanofarads. Okay. Well, it's apparently testing fine. Okay. Cool. Guess let me see if this other one agrees, if I can get it to... The leads aren't quite long enough to put it in the ZIF socket. There, I think I got it. 22 nanofarads. Okay. Well, looks like for the moment at least it's a happy little refa capacitor. Oh, I'll put that back in later. Okay. So, now that I got those 5 capacitors out, I think I can get to the... Let me see where the components are. So, here's the silicon diode. That's going to be the first one I test. And if that's not the case, then there's 2 glass diodes here. I'll test those. And then if those aren't them, then... Well, I guess I can test Q3. And if that's not it, then... maybe I'll see if I can't get the heat sink off with these components. Because I don't think I'm going to be able... I can't get... I don't have anything to get the nuts off to pull the components out without getting the heatsink out, but I think I've got enough out that I can get the heatsink out. Anyways, now that I got a plan, alright, so here's that capacitor, which means... there we go. So that silicon diode is going to be... alright, I'm going to have to... you can see I'm going to have to order some wicks soon. Fortunately, I realized I can still order Gootwick from Amazon. But I gotta order it in the large spools because for some reason I can't. They seem to have stopped selling the small spools. Although that's just as well. The large spool is cheaper per unit measure. Just I think last time I looked at, I think that if I order it from Amazon, it's actually going to ship from Amazon Japan. Alright, so let's see if I can get this out. Oh, I was hoping I'd find a component that was bad by now, but I mean, there still are a few more semiconductors, and there we go. Alright, so this silicon diode is, well, seemingly identical to some of the other ones, but I think it's actually different. And it's a diode. Just like when Data is looking through Guinan's stash of drinks under the counter and can only tell Scotty that it's green. My tester can only tell me that it's a diode. Which I have to say, though, I'm fairly sure that it seemingly would be that Data would have actually been able to identify what it actually was. I think that's one of those scenes where I think the writers kind of... You mean to tell me Data knows all these random facts, and yet he doesn't know that the green liquor is like whatever brandy? Nah, come on. Yeah. It's Sloopy. Hey, Sloopy. Oh, okay. Joe says that's a reference to the original series episode where Scotty says the same thing to a Klingon. Okay. Hey, Sloopy. Sloopy wants something that's described as it's green. I haven't found the smoking gun yet. And it wasn't that little Reefa. Well, I guess let me remove Q3. Yeah, nothing has, so far nothing has, I mean, I did remove a couple capacitors that smelled like fish. But they were testing fine, so I don't think they were keeping it from regulating. I mean, it is entirely possible that this power supply requires those safety caps to be in place. Just kind of... Unfortunately, I won't get the Digi-Key order till tomorrow. Sorry, and Brandy. Thank you, Joe. I can always count on you to know those important Star Trek details that... Well... I think I might have just found it. Q3 is a PNP transistor. And it's testing as a diode. Yeah, that's not a diode. It's a PNP transistor. And it's testing as a diode. Which tells me that pins, let's see, whatever pins 1 and 2... 1 and 2... So it's going to be that the collector to base is open. Oh, wait. No, the base, hold please while I try to remember what orientation this transistor was in. I'm going to have to go back to my photos. Good thing I took some. So I can try to remember which, because, yeah, okay, let me look at my photos. But I think I just, found the culprit. Because that is not a diode. Okay, so actually that was the connection between the collector and the emitter. Because this transistor was actually installed like so. Yeah. So it's between the collector and the emitter is open. It's a PNP transistor. All right. It is an SB561. This is where I am going to see if I have anything that's equivalent on hand. Although I have enough stuff desoldered, it will be tight to get everything soldered back in. SB561. So I am going to NTE's website, pulling up the data sheet. So that is would be an NTE 159 is the cross-reference part. It is a silicon PNP transistor. I think I will go ahead and there we go. So this is let's see, 80 volts collector to emitter, collector to base, 5 volts emitter to base. Do I think I have anything that might... Okay, I have some PNP transistors. Hold, please. Okay. I don't know how good of a replacement these are. These may be horrible replacements. Some of them I don't know what they are, so some of these might even be NPNs. Why can't everything just be NPN transistors? Or PNP? I know. I do know. It's because you couldn't do much with just one type. Okay, so these are KA, KSA, 733, CGBU. It is marked as a PNP transistor. Here we go. One semi. Oh. Wait a minute. Oh, that's the breakdown voltage. Okay. Okay. So, let's see here. Unfortunately, the maximum ratings on this transistor are lower. So this, I added a character by accident. Okay, so why in the world is this one data sheet have negative numbers and this other one has positive numbers? I don't think these are collector emitter cutoff current. Collector cutoff current 50 and 5. This is 100 and 100 nanoamps. 50 and 5, 50 nanoamps, 5 microamps. Okay, I don't think this is a good yeah. Okay. So okay. That is a lousy match, and Digi-Key changed their logo this afternoon. Ah, Digi-Key changed their logo this afternoon. Breaking news. Okay. Unfortunately, I believe this is going to be an equally poor match because this is the the OG version of that transistor. Yep. Bad match. It's for negative voltage. And those are more 733s, so bad match. There's our PNP though. And these are 2SC945F, and I have a feeling that is probably a NPN. 2SC945F. I think this is an NPN. Right. Not a replacement. And, alright. 2SC536F. Alright. This is the last chance. And it's an NPN. Oh. Joe, I didn't even see your note about the logo change. Ah. Okay, this is what I get for having a bunch of transistors to build a synthesizer that no one wanted to watch me build. So I have a whole bunch of the wrong type of transistors. Alright, let me see if I got any others. Unfortunately, they have to be in that box. And they're not going to be in that box. Alright. Okay, I do not have any PNP transistors. And don't worry, for anyone that actually does like synthesizers, I have been thinking of actually building another one, but I won't make the same mistake I did last time and build one that you can't buy the parts for anymore. I think that's why no one wanted to watch it. I will actually try to pick one that you can actually build, which means that the synthesizer kit that's in that box right there that I've kind of wanted to build is still off limits because it requires a Raspberry Pi that you can't buy without paying a scalper. Okay, I do not have any PNP transistors that look appropriate. Now, to go to Mouser and actually look up the ones that I just about ordered today and didn't, to see if they would have actually been appropriate, because if they are, then I'll just order them tomorrow. Alright, that would be the 2N3906. No. Hey, at least the numbers aren't negative on the data sheet. But the rating is not, no, it's not a compatible. Oh, that synthesizer doesn't only need a Raspberry Pi to use it? No, it needs other things too. But the thing is, you can't buy a Raspberry Pi, so I'm not going to make the mistake of building a synthesizer that no one can buy the parts for. The thing was, the synthesizer I tried to build before was one that Adafruit stopped selling because they couldn't get parts because everything was discontinued. So it's not like anyone watching it could go build one because I'd had the parts for a couple years, so the parts are actually that much harder to get. So yeah, that one that I got parts for, it requires a Raspberry Pi and other things. I could probably solder the really small pitch parts on it, but no one can get a Raspberry Pi without paying a scalper, so I have no interest in building it until Raspberry Pis are back in supply. Then I'll build it. It'll probably be more interesting then. Sloopy, I have Raspberry Pis. The problem isn't me getting the Raspberry Pi. The problem is if someone else were to want to build it, they may not have a Raspberry Pi. That's why I'm not going to build it yet. I totally have all the parts for it, including the Raspberry Pi. It's, if anyone else wanted to build it, they can't get the Raspberry Pi. so I have no incentive to build it. They are getting easier to find, though. Yes, that is true. But they're not. It hasn't hit my threshold of they're easy enough that I can build it and people would probably actually watch it. But yes, soon I will build that synthesizer. It's really cool, or it seems really cool. Anyways, all right, I found the bad component. I don't have anything on hand that's a suitable replacement. I am, though, interested. There's these two last glass diodes. And I am actually curious what they are. If they're anything special. So it's D10 and D11. They're 1N4606s. D5, D10. Actually, there should be 3 of them. D... Oh, that's right. The bill of materials says there's 3, but I was never able to find the third one. Which leads me to believe that there's only 2. 1N4606. I don't have any general purpose transistors, Thomas. I almost ordered some today. Although, granted, if I'd ordered them today, I wouldn't have them now anyways. I know that they sell those kits on Amazon that you can get a whole bunch of transistors for really little money, but I don't really like the components that come in those kits. They have like the cheap, flimsy leads, and there's no telling what brand components they are, and I'm sure they're. I'm sure. I'm not saying that the components aren't what they claim to be. I'm sure the transistors are actually the transistor they say they are, but I don't know. They're just cheap. How long are they going to last? Sure, it'd probably be fine to put one in temporarily to test this power supply, but I wouldn't want to leave the replacement in. I'd want. I need to get a new battery for this thing. Alright, so let's see. Is this diode... Yep. Alright, well that diode is measuring as a diode. I mean, it may very well... Okay, I do know there's one other component I want to test. Because in circuit, I happened to measure it, and it measured bad. Alright, so these two diodes are totally fine. Alright. Probably what I need to do is I just need to order a couple of those common value transistors from those kits. I just need to order just a couple from Mauser, so at least I have a few on hand. Then at least I can get ones that I feel better about installing. Yeah, the 2N3904 and 3906. Yeah, those are the two I almost ordered today and didn't. Unfortunately, though, looking at the data sheet for the transistor that's actually here in Q3, the ratings are. I don't think I'd be able to use the general transistor, because this component, the ratings are higher. I mean, maybe temporarily I could tested the supply with it, but I would have probably ultimately needed to replace it with the correct rated part. Okay, there is one component I need to test here. Let me make sure I'm removing the correct leads. There we go. So what is it? It's actually a resistor that somewhere I managed to read in one of the forum posts I found on one of these Aztec power supplies. It might have been the variant for the Osborne. It might have been for the variant for the TRS. I don't think it was the Kaypro variant. But it could have been. It was something on one of the variants of these Aztec power supplies that there's this one particular resistor that is out of spec on a lot of the power supplies after years of use. And in circuit, I measured it, and it measured poorly. So I'm going to pull it out of circuit here. And I think it's going to be out of... Oh, I know where Mauser gets the components, but I for a lot of those component assortments, I don't like how cheap the leads are on the components that get put into those assortments. If I order components that are from onsemi, then they have better pins on them. Quite honestly, I know in some cases some of those components are actually made on the same manufacturing line because they I've read about what they call ghost shifts, where the factory will just keep making them on another shift and label them as a different brand. So yeah, a lot of those components are probably the same thing inside of it, but I don't like the cheapness of the component leads. I find them harder to solder and harder to just use, so that's why I don't like those component assortments. For example, I've got one of those Arduino starter kits that you get that has the off-brand Arduino clone and a whole bunch of components. I did not like the component, the resistors and stuff that came in that kit, because they were all the thinner lead ones, and they don't go into breadboards as well. I don't know why I'm using this to test this resistor. So this should be 29 ohm, or... No, it's R29. It is component R29. It should be 12 ohms. Oh, and it's reading 12.2 ohms out of circuit. I should have known. Yeah, the leads fall off. Well, yeah, I guess I had that problem where some of the leads... Actually, the bigger problem I had with that kit is because it expects you to build these circuits on a breadboard, and the leads, you could not easily... The leads wanted to fold in upon themselves instead of go in the breadboard. Yeah, this resistor is 12 ohms, on the dot. So apparently when I read it as 10.5 ohms, which would be outside of spec, yeah, there must have been something in parallel with it. Because out of circuit, it's reading on the dot. So I think the whole problem with this supply is that transistor. And unfortunately, that transistor is one that I ordered the NTE replacement for. I mean, it's possible I can find a better, closer replacement that's modern that Mauser sells, or maybe Jamco. Well, no, actually, I don't need to order the Meanwell. The transistor part is a SB561. SB561. Or the NTE cross compatible cross reference part is an NTE 159. So SB561 or NTE 159. So, am I going to solder these parts back tonight? No. I'm going to leave them off the board. Because it's like 11:38 now. I'm just happy I found the problem. So what I am going to do is I am going to put these components back in the general place where they go, which means I am going to remove the resistor from the spot where the Zener diode goes, and I'm going to put it in the place where the resistor goes. So I'm at least going to catch my mistake now that I see it. Maybe I should solder the components that are deemed good back in. But I'm kind of going to debate whether because I may decide to just go ahead and replace those silicon diodes anyways, because I might have, just in the event I accidentally did something to the leads that's going to cause them to break more easily, I may just go ahead and decide to replace them, but I don't have those parts. Those are NTE parts. Alright, so this one resistor that I decided I was going to go ahead and replace because it looks like the factory put the wrong part. Although maybe it's because whatever it's doing, that putting the wrong part there was not bad. Okay. Yeah, that's 92 ohms. Okay. I sure thought I ordered a higher precision part than that. I'm gonna have to go look at the... Alright, let's see here. Of course, maybe I need to check in a different tester. This one's batteries are dying. 0.96 ohms. Okay, that I think is actually within spec. Alright. Well, actually, I should probably put heat shrink around that resistor, but I am going to install what I believe is the correct part based on the data sheet. Or the... Yeah, 2SB561 has the NTE159. Yeah, I was wondering if there's anything Mauser might have that might be a compatible part. Of course, the thing is, if I ordered, if it wasn't for the fact that if I order from Digi-Key, it'll take a week to get here. Digi-Key is an NTE distributor. I mean, I could also, I guess, call Arcade Electronics tomorrow and inquire which components in my order were back-ordered, now that I've done some troubleshooting. Well, Thomas, the reason why I was asking and why I was favoring Mauser, I'm sure Taiwan has a lot of them, but if I order them from Taiwan, they won't be here Tuesday. If I order something from Digi-Key, it won't be here Tuesday. If I call Arcade Electronics and see what was back-ordered on my order, and if that part wasn't one of the back-ordered parts, I could just have them cancel the back-ordered items. Maybe they can ship the rest of my order tomorrow. Then that actually might get to me by Tuesday. So maybe I will call them up and see what was in stock and what wasn't. Because it actually seems like I don't need near as much as I ordered from them. So maybe I can just have them cancel what's back-ordered if that wasn't one of the back-ordered items. Because if it was, then oh well. Because they only told me that a good portion of my order was back-ordered, not what was back-ordered. I got the impression that the shorter list was what was in stock. But they apparently get a shipment from NTE. I kind of got the impression that they had maybe just received their shipment or had just placed whatever order with NTE, and then I happened to order things that they didn't order. So I think it was one of those cases of I might have just missed their ordering from NTE or something. Because it seemed like, from the tone of their email, it was that a good portion of my order was back-ordered, but they would have another order from NTE in about 7 days, and that my order would then ship when complete. And I was getting the distinct impression that they were fairly confident my order would be complete in about a week. So I guess maybe I hadn't missed the window to make the next NTE order. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, the thing is, if I order from Taiwan, I won't have it Tuesday. Maybe I'll call Arcade Electronics, and maybe I can fix up my order so it can ship if I'll get what I need. Honestly, I could probably cancel every line item but that, but that one part. Although there are a couple things I put on the order, it'd probably be handy to have spares of. I probably can't be the only person in the world that placed an order for all the replacement parts they might need and then realized they didn't need them all. Anyways, yeah, I'll call Arcade Electronics in the morning. I think they're open Monday through Friday. I'll see what was back. I'll see exactly what was back ordered. I'll fix up my order and maybe I can actually get the part. I think I have a good chance if they can ship that part, that I probably would have it Tuesday. And then I could actually maybe put this thing back together on the stream Tuesday and test it and actually see will I have a mini implosion in my basement, or will it actually work? Alright, I guess I will at least tack some of these components in. Because otherwise, I'm liable to create more problems for myself when things fall out. Yeah, I'll wait. I will wait until I get that part to... Actually, I may also see if... because I am thinking about replacing the silicon diodes, but maybe I can... we'll see what they had in stock. eBay, well, if I... Well, Thomas, even if I ordered them from eBay, I don't have enough confidence in eBay sellers these days that I would know I would have them Tuesday. Although there would be a slightly better chance of that than Taiwan. But actually, I've noticed something about those sellers selling parts that claim they have stock in the US. And that is that they don't actually have stock in the US. Because I have a couple times now ordered from those sellers that claim to have stock in the US. And lo and behold, I get a shipment from China. And quite honestly, I mean, I don't appreciate that. Because if I'm ordering because you say you have stock in the US because I want it quickly, it's kind of bait and switch to then, okay, yeah, sure, some of those did actually ship it a faster way than just putting it on a in a like e-packet and mailing it. But still, come on. If you're going to say you have stock in the US and you don't, then I'm pretty sure there's actually an eBay policy against that, but I can't I don't know which one it is right offhand. Don't know if that's maybe the seller location misrepresentation policy that, of course, for all I know, eBay got rid of. But, like, I mean, sure, I don't mind. Just basically be truthful with where you say you actually are. Because if I'm trying to order something because I need it quickly, and you say you've got it in the States, and I get it from China, and usually in that case, after when I thought it would come because you said you had it in the States. Come on, that's an awfully, I don't know, disingenuous way to get sales by just lying where your stock is. Just tell me the truth, because if it's something I don't need quickly, I mean, I will order from China. In fact, actually, I've got some things on my eBay watch list that, well, I don't need pressingly enough that I've bothered to order them. But even when I do order them, I don't need them that quickly. I'll order them from China. Not a problem. Just don't misrepresent where you have the item. That's all I ask. They have them in Florida, Tennessee, and Ohio. Well, I'll check. I mean, maybe if they really do have them, I might risk it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? They'll ship from China because they didn't actually have them in Florida, Tennessee, or Ohio. I send Joe to check out the purported location in Ohio because I realize it's like down the street from him, and he's like, tells me that, oh yeah, that's the vacant house that no one's been at in years. And then I'll know that they're. Yeah, maybe I will. I'll risk it. It's just, I guess the other thing is, I know that if I order from Mauser and I make their cutoff, they'll ship it. And actually, one of my 2 orders I got today, they actually, I placed it before the cutoff and it missed the truck and they upgraded the shipping. Um, yeah, I guess Tennessee would be the closest, but I don't know that Ohio's that much further away to um, make a difference at that point. I would say that if it was coming UPS or FedEx, definitely, because they both have hubs in Tennessee. But if it's coming Postal Service, I don't think there's a significant speed advantage to Ohio versus Tennessee. At least, well, depending on the class of mail, I'll qualify that. But yeah, if it's coming UPS or FedEx, then yeah, Tennessee hands down. Syracuse Semiconductor. Okay, well then, all right, I'll. All right, I'll maybe risk it and order some from one of the eBay sellers. After I call Arcade, well, no, I may order them before that because I may forget to call Arcade uh, early enough. I just realized I think based on Arcade's hours, I will end up calling them from work. I will have to. So yeah, I'll just order some from eBay. Um, yeah, Jeremy, I know that the USPS has a hub in Tennessee, but based on their delivery um where they slowed down their delivery date quotas, that's why it doesn't matter as much Ohio versus Tennessee, because it's still going to be the same number of days postal service. I mean, that could be the postal service cynic in me saying that, but my experience is that the postal service is not quite as important to order from the hub city as it is some of the other shipping services. All right, yeah, I'll order. I'll see if I can't order some of those parts. on eBay. Just if I order them on eBay, I really want to get them on by Tuesday. Because for anyone that missed my announcement earlier, I have a conflict next Thursday, so my next stream will be Tuesday instead of Thursday next week. I guess it could be a. I'm going to use it as an experiment as well to see how well a Tuesday stream might do, but next week, in reality, the main reason is I have a conflict on Thursday. So instead of not streaming next week, I'll move the date. So, and it looks like I'll probably be, because at least I'll have the Digi-Key order. I'll see what I can't do about getting the transistor. Although, I guess worst case, I'll see if I can't get find a way to at least temporarily hook up a Meanwell supply to see if I can't get the motherboard to power up. So I'm not soldering in the silicon diodes, and if I miss some of the legs, I'm not as worried. I'm just trying to tack things in so that I don't have to worry about the parts that I know need to go back in falling out. I'll double check things. There we go. I think that's enough. Sometimes shipments go to Memphis from California before going west through Little Rock. Well, Jeremy, the reason why that your shipments go through Memphis is because FedEx and UPS both have a major hub in Memphis. So, yes, your packages go further east because Memphis is a hub city. It's by design. Much like the airlines in their hub cities, where a lot of your flights, you have to go through one of their hubs to get to your destination, even if looking at the flight miles, it's ridiculous. Well, it's their major hub. So, alright. So at least I got enough tacked in that I don't have to worry about too many of the components falling out. I may replace the silicon diodes just because they're prone to, if I manage to crack the glass, then the way they're designed, it would be really hard to tell that I did. Oh, hold on. I just realized. Oops. Oh. Two more, I just realized. I meant to put these... secure these diodes. They're the, general purpose ones. Alright. Oh. That wasn't solder. That was a component leg. That was solder. There we go. Alright. Oh. Okay. So I'd kinda... let me fix... quite get that one on the way. Oh, that's on fine. Alright. 2N3906 list as a replacement for NTE159. Okay, well then I guess in that case I almost could just order 3906s and from Mauser and be done with it. I know when I looked at the data sheet for the NTE 159 part, it didn't seem like it was as great of a replacement, but then again, I didn't look at every line item closely. All right, so I got enough of this tacked in that I should be good. I've got the I've got the capacitors. So there we go. There's yeah, I think those are the capacitors for that, and yep, those are the. Oh, that's right. I need to order 400 volt ones for those. So let me put that where I'll remember. These were actually capacitors for something else, if I can remember what I got those for. 10 microfarad. No, 10 volt, 47 microfarad. Oh, these are, I think actually those are for a Trident video card. So Thomas, if you, I was listening when you said that you thought jail bars might be a sign of bad caps, even though I've got some evidence that for some of the Trident cards it may be more than just, it may be a different cause. I ordered caps for one of the cards. I'll recap it. For some reason it had a different value than I had on hand, so I ordered some. Anyways, yeah, these replacement caps are much smaller. Yeah, no. 2200 microfarad. These are still 105 degrees C. They're low ESR. And there you go. There's the original. So, oh, actually, I think also these will replace these too. Because for some reason they use two different brands. I mean, I couldn't find a data sheet for these, but I figure these will be just as good. Yeah. Progress in technology. One cap model to replace all those. 16 volt, 1000 microfarad. The 25 volt DC, 100 microfarad. So yeah, I think all these caps are smaller than the originals. So I guess the one I got to do is I'll order some 400 volt ones for the high voltage, and that way at least I guess I'll have some confidence that should someone take this overseas, that the caps are better rated. Because actually, modern 400 volt caps probably have better ratings than the original 250 volt caps. So capacitors have gotten better, so I can get away with getting a better rated cap to replace these. Or yeah, or a power spike. Yeah, Thomas, you are entirely correct. A power spike would also cause problems with a 250 volt cap quite easily. I mean, it might not be enough to do it in outright, but yeah, it potentially cause it to wear out faster, whereas the 400 volt cap would power spike would, well, power spike of a certain point, I've got bigger problems in the house, but yeah. So anyways, there's the power supply, and so just trying to double check that I had the transistor in there. Yep, it's in there. So all the transistor parts are there. There's my caps for that. I'm going to tape it to the bag so that I don't lose it. I'll just order some 2N3904s. You know, somewhere I have some NTE parts, but I don't know where they went to. And I don't think they were transistors. I think they were like... No, actually, I think they were transistors. I may have to see if I can remember what I did with them. I had something that was NTE, and I don't know what I did with them. But anyways, so I got the power supply. So at least I've got everything here. Everything's tacked in so that it should be fine to just set it over on the shelf, out of the way. That way, whatever I do this weekend on Dave's stream is hopefully... I'm hoping I won't be having to like concentrate on editing a video as I was Sunday, because I was trying to get that, or Saturday, or yeah, I guess it was Sunday. I was trying to get that Trident video out just because the topic came up during my PicoGus build, so I wanted to get both videos out. Because, yeah, that Trident card. Actually, I've got ideas. If anyone's wondering, I got an idea of what it could be. I have the Trident card. Oh, it's probably upstairs on my desk, but I'm not going to test it tonight. I looked at the jumper settings for that card because I actually removed the FCC ID label, which some of the jumper settings were under, and I looked at all the silkscreen jumper settings on the card. And I looked at how it was jumpered, and I thought about what computer it was in at Chris's house, and what computer I had it in, and realized that the jumper settings would probably work in a Pentium 233, because it was jumpered for 0 wait states. But for a 386 DX40, I suspect 0 wait states is wrong. And it probably should have been set to 1 wait state. Or basically, I think what the jumper is really setting is it's the jumper setting that overrides the ISA bus default. I suspect on a 386, it needs to be at 1 wait state. Because I suspect the 386 isn't fast enough to do 0 wait states. But the other thing was, it also was jumpered to have the FIFO 1. And I'm kind of wondering if maybe FIFO should have been off. And the third thing that was wrong on the card... that for sure, it was jumpered for 8-bit BIOS. And I'm pretty sure that on a 386 that I can let it auto-detect. Because it'll use probably 16-bit. But anyways, yeah. I'm going to try that card with the jumper. The card could just be tired. I'm wondering if the RAM could be bad on it too. And if it is, then... well, tough. I have all the Trident cards I have, they all use different RAM. By the way, if you did see the, if you watched the video long enough to see me toss this card into the pile, this card actually, not only did it get tossed into my non-working pile, but I actually have since moved it into my scrap pile, because I will not be trying to repair this card, even if I try to repair some of the others to kind of get to root cause. Because, although interestingly enough, there was a YouTuber that got one of these cards in a computer he got from eWaste, and it was like the exact same card, including these exact same funky RAM chips from IBM, and that's why I will not be trying to repair this card, because these are like dual port VRAM chips. I thought they were SD-RAM, but I looked up, I managed to find a data sheet on these. They're dual port VRAM chips, and they're like so specific that I'm like, no, I'm not going to try to find the replacements. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, Jeremy, they were all made by different companies, but they all, like, use different package styles and sizes and whatnot. And, like, whatever company made that card, they use these, those are, like, that card has 1 megabyte of RAM on it, but they're dual port VRAM chips from IBM. And I am not going to even try to figure out if there's any cross-reference. Well, actually, I did a quick search because those are like 70-pin chips. And I did a search for 70-pin VRAM and came up with nothing. So I'm like, all right, not even going to try because they're not standard DRAM. It's actually video RAM. And it's dual port video RAM, which I think VRAM is dual port. But it's like a specific type of dual port video RAM that is 5 volts. And I'm like, the only thing that I can replace these with are these same IBM chips. And I'm not 100% sure it's the RAM. I'm not even going to try to repair that card. The RAM is too weird. Yeah, it was very fast RAM for the time, which for a Trident video card is seemingly overkill. But then again, that was like their... I mean, it was one of their 32-bit video chips. But I don't know that it was necessarily the highest performing chip. But anyways, yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to try to repair that one. That one's in my scrap pile. It's like, I'm not going to try to repair it. But some of the other Trident cards, I have a theory of why they don't work. And I did want to try to repair 1 or 2 of them, just to see if my theory's correct. So underneath all these parts I ordered from Mouser, just in case, I do have, if I can find them. Oh, there's header pins. I did have header pins. Anyways, I ordered some crystals. So 1 or 2 of those Trident cards, I think the crystal's bad. So I ordered some replacement crystals. I tried swapping parts around on them, and I kind of thought, well, maybe I have bad crystals on multiples of them. I mean, I thought I'd read the frequency with the oscilloscope, but my oscilloscope is... I wasn't sure how accurate it was. But anyways, yeah. So I ordered some replacement crystals because they're like 14.31415 or whatever. It's pretty much all. And these capacitors. So that card that I had in the video that I got at L&Y, these are the capacitors I needed to recap it. So I am going to try to recap that card and try it with the alternate jumper settings. That card, I might actually, if it still doesn't work, I may replace the RAM on it because it's at least not like a weird type of RAM. It's actually just a standard DRAM package. So that one I might actually try to replace it. I may actually have a couple of those memory chips if I can remember where I put them. So I may actually try to replace the memory chips on that if it still doesn't work. Just out of curiosity. I don't mind potentially risking a few memory chips for science. No, it's 14 point something or other. If I could find them, I could tell you what the frequency is. Unfortunately, things like that like to go hide. Oh, here they are. Oh, some of those Trident cards actually have 40 megahertz crystals. So I ordered some 40 megahertz crystals. But some of them, it's actually 14.31818, which I believe is the NTSC frequency times 4. So I ordered crystals. The nice thing is, though, these 40 megahertz ones are the same ones that the Super ISA VGA uses. So if they don't fix the Trident card, then I'll just remove it and save it for a Super ISA VGA card. So that's the nice thing. And luckily, these 14.31818 ones are also used in a lot of places. So again, if this doesn't fix the Trident card, I'll pull them and save them for something else. So the fact that I ordered these to fix Trident cards, they are not a waste because these are used in lots of places. If they don't fix the Trident card, they will not stay on the Trident card. I will save them for something that's actually can that they could actually fix. So there's that. So that was like one thing I wanted to try was the crystals, the capacitors on the one card, and maybe some DRAMs. Because again, those DRAMs, if I get some of those DRAMs, and as long as I'm careful in replacing them, if that doesn't fix the problem, then I'll just carefully pull them off and save them for something else. So all of these things, I might have ordered them to try to repair Trident cards, but I can, if I'm careful and they don't fix the Trident card, I'll save them for something else. But you can look forward to that, because I was kind of really wanting to know, well, why are these cards, why have I bought so many of them that have failures? Is there like a cause? Can I warn people about this? Can I, at least if I warn them, can I give them some better information than just, yeah, I've yet to buy a Trident card that works 100%. Yeah, I know they're like, I mean, you can watch the video. I quoted Adrian Black, what he said about them. Except I kind of disagree that his statement that they work, because, well, my stack of Trident cards says that a lot of them don't work. But I mean, yeah, as long as they do functionally work, they are a VGA card. They will work. You will get an image. They are usable. They were some of the slowest cards back then, and they're going to be just as slow now. But they are what people had back then, which is why I even would like to have a couple that work, because for some people, that's what they had. They bought this Trident video card. Maybe it's what they could buy. Maybe they had bad information when they bought it and learned the hard way that it was awful. Either way, I would like to have a Trident card or two that work. Because for some things, especially if you put them in a slower computer, well, the card's lack of performance is less important. It's a slower computer. So, see, Jeremy, you're trying to find a 32 mega. So you need a 32 megahertz crystal, or do you need a 32 megahertz oscillator? Because I'll keep my eye out. Yeah, that's the thing, Thomas. The ISA Super VGA, they work great. They that I don't know what it is, but from what I can tell, I think these graphics chips, at least the TVGA 9000i, is not the problem, but all the cards I have are like the 8900 series. So it seems like the chip itself is. I'll keep my eye out, Jeremy. I'll keep my eye out for one for you. But yeah, it seems like the graphics chip itself is not the problem. I think it's like something on the card. And it'd be cool if I could figure out what it is, because if it turns out that it's like the crystal, they just used really cheap crystals that have degraded, or the caps, because capacitors are fairly cheap, or even if I like figure out that, oh, well, there's one of the resistors is, or the ferrites or something is like they out of spec. Because I might actually get to the point where I just remove all the components on one and measure them. Because I've got enough of the bad ones that I may just pull all the components off and measure them. It's like, because I've got some that I don't think I'll be able to repair. Or yeah, the ROMs. That's another thing. Is the problem that the ROM has become corrupted, and that if it's socketed, especially, that you just program a new ROM and at least the card's usable. Unfortunately, the thing is that some of those 8900, the 8900D-R chips, the ROM is on the GPU. So if the ROM has gone bad on those, then they're toast. However, if the ROM is on the GPU chip, it's probably a mask ROM, and that may mean it's not the ROM. But yeah, the ROMs, although mask ROMs can go bad. So maybe it is the ROM maybe on those chips, maybe you might want to stay away from them just because the ROM is embedded. So if the ROM did go bad, well, there's no way to replace it. Although that's the 8900D-R. The 8900D, without the R, the ROM is off board. So that is a good idea, Thomas. Maybe I should, especially if they're socketed ROMs, just pull the ROM and read it, because it's like a 27. Well, no, I don't know if it's a 27 series, but it'll be some pinout I could read. Good idea. Again, if you've got one of these cards and I figure out there's like a common cause, then at least that lets you maybe have a shot at a simple fix, try it, and if it doesn't work, well, find another card. But if it does work, especially if you have the components on hand, then, well, okay, you got a card. Maybe it's not a high-performing card, but, sometimes all you need is a video card that works to test something, and then you can get a better card later. So if your test card is a Trident video card, and you manage to destroy your test card because the power supply in the computer you test loses regulation and sends 12 volts through all the voltage rails, well, is your test card that's a Trident card a big loss? No. But if you had the card and you fix it cheaply, you don't have much in it. And it gave you a test card that if you lose it due to a voltage surge or something, then, well, no big loss. So, but yeah, or test everything with the Super ISA VGA. I mean, sometimes it is nice to have a 16-bit test card, but yeah, test everything with the Super ISA VGA. So yeah. Anyways, it's kind of something I'd like to do, is like okay, is there something that if the card's doing this, then try this, get it working cheaply. I mean, the thing is, if you can fix it cheaply, then it stays out of e-waste a little longer. You can use it as a card for a lower end computer where the Trident performance isn't a big of a deal. Use it as a test card. Give it to your enemy because, well, who wants to give them a good video card? Send it to someone that has no video card, then at least they have a video card. Lots of things you can do even with a Trident video card, and if you can fix it cheaply, it keeps it out of e-waste. And if you still don't want it, you can send it to me. There, I said it. Can I have it? I said it. And I don't see Retro Techie joining the chat. I guess that's not the magic word to make him appear. All right. Anyways, lots of things upcoming on the channel. Next stream, though, will be Tuesday and not Thursday. I will not be streaming next Thursday. The stream will be Tuesday. So I'll probably schedule the stream tomorrow. I think I'll be able to get enough parts to continue on the Kaypro, at least for the first half of the stream. So why not? Yeah. So Tuesday, Kaypro. I'll get some 2N 3906s. In fact, I'll probably just order the 3904s that I was going to order too. Then at least I got some generic NPN transistors on hand too. But yeah, stay tuned for that. Don't forget, subscribe, turn on notifications, and when I do stream, if you're sitting at your computer on Tuesday, you'll see the notification I went live. If you forget that, oh yeah, Justin was streaming Tuesday, not Thursday, turn on notifications. Then at least when I do go live, as long as the YouTube notifications are working, you'll get a notification. Smash that like button if you like me trying to repair computers. Or even just because I did find the one transistor that is not transisting. It is dioding, which means it's got an open circuit internally. It, of course, was the last transistor I pulled off the board. Of course. But I found it. And don't forget, I do have Coffee and Patreon. I do use what I earn on Coffee and Patreon to buy supplies for the workbench, just like the foam swabs I'm about out of. And spudgers. I got a coffee tip, so I was able to get some spudgers. Yes, I do put those towards buying supplies. It helps me run the streams, so don't forget that as an option. And with that, it is getting late. I'd like to thank everyone for joining me. Yeah, Thomas says, always works that way. Why find the bad part first? Yeah, exactly. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for joining me. Take care, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon, and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. Don't forget to smash that like button. And if you've liked what you've seen, subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next video or live stream. And as always, thank you for all your support. I hope to see you next time. And until then, take care.